Welcome to the Wholesome Healing Collective.
Join us on our podcast for a journey into the hearts of healers from all walks of life, diving deep as we explore meaningful conversations that have the power to inspire, empower, and share life-changing wisdom.
Through this community, we hope to create a welcoming environment where our listeners leave feeling nurtured and uplifted. We are so delighted you are here. My name is Alyssa.
And I'm Renee. Grab a drink, get cozy, and let's dive in. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Wholesome Healing Collective and another chat with Alyssa and myself, Renee. And today we wanted to chat a little bit about our experience with ceremony and what we've been learning about bringing this concept of ceremony into our daily lives, into our offerings with classes and retreats, and some of the experiences that we've had in being held in space with others and how we want to incorporate that into the space we hold as we start to offer classes and retreats.
Yes, I think we've dabbled a little bit in like the ritualization of some items like tea or cacao, but really adding that sacred element to some of these activities or classes is so special, so powerful.
Yeah. I think we both have some unique experiences in the spaces that we've had the opportunity to be in with powerful facilitators of all different kinds. And I'm excited to share those with you.
Yeah. So what's coming to your mind as your most powerful or favorite ceremony or retreat?
So I would say the first one that I went to definitely comes to mind first. And it was held by a wonderful, powerful, beautiful facilitator, Brittany Boersma. And she held this snowy winterland retreat in Steamboat, Colorado, which is like the cutest little mountain town ever. And it was my first experience of, she's a yoga instructor. She's much more, but it was a yoga retreat. And it was my first experience of yoga outside of like the gym stretching yoga. And this yoga and all yoga and can invite us to go much deeper than that layer of just the physicality of stretching. And I remember in one of the yin yoga sessions, it was in a cabin and the fireplace is going and it was like all cozy and we were in shavasana. And I don't remember the words she said. I don't remember exactly what the theme was or anything like that, but it was a meditation in shavasana after we had moved our body a lot. And I remember this release in my body that I had never felt before. And it was, I think, that first taste of letting go of the mind, really getting into the body in a deeper way and releasing on a level that allowed stuff to go from my muscles. And the visual I got in my mind in that moment was like sticky tar, like leaving my muscles and going into the earth and being like transformed, transmuted. And that was also my first real experience with meditation. And so those two combined, the meditation with the yoga, with going deeper into the body, I came out of that experience and was like, where has this been all my life? And I need more of this. Like I was so enthralled with that experience that really was a shift in my trajectory. I had already been, at that time, I was a personal trainer. I was very interested in learning about personal development, how the mind works, more of the mindset process. And that's really what changed my trajectory to looking at somatics and getting into the body and what is being stored and what can I release, and how does surrendering the mind really contribute to getting into the body and being able to release on a deeper level. And it really did set me on a whole new path of healing that I am like forever grateful for. It was
Mm,
magical.
wow, that experience does sound magical. And I love how it really like changed the trajectory you said. That is so powerful.
Yeah. And it's so neat to look back at all the synchronicities that led me there, because even though that was a change in my trajectory, I wouldn't have gotten to that place had I not been on the trajectory that I was already on. Because I had actually won that retreat at a company Christmas party. And had I not worked for that company, I would never have gone to that retreat and had that experience. And then that eventually led me to breath work, which eventually led me to coaching and now hosting retreats. And it all happened for a reason. And it was just beautiful, divine timing.
Mm, love that.
Yeah. How about you? I know you've had some powerful experience with, and even recently with teaching with your partner locally, Tara.
Yeah. It's been really beautiful co-facilitating with Tara. She really brings that ceremony aspect to the breath work. Like at pause, I feel like we just learned the power of breath and the regulating the nervous system, and it felt more like structured and class like. And I know you going through your ceremonial facilitation training has really probably brought that into your realm too. But me getting to see this with Tara in action has been so cool to see, where we open up the sacred space, and we've been ceremoning with cacao and then breath work and sound bath and time for integration before we close the ceremony. And it just feels like so complete, so full circle. Like if anything was brought to the surface, it was looked at, felt, and released. Like you're not walking around with this box of gunk that you open the lid and now you're like, now what am I supposed to do with this? Like it just feels so complete and so beautiful. Not that I was opening people's boxes before and just letting them walk around with it, but it just, the ceremony aspect makes it feel just so sacred. And my first experience with Tara last year was actually at the Pictograph Caves here in Billings, Montana. And we were under a teepee, and there was like this portal she opened, and it just
Mm.
opened my eyes to this whole new realm of possibilities. And kind of like you said, it changed your trajectory. And I think it's just so powerful when you experience those things where you're like, this is new and this is going to change everything that I ever did before. And it's going to have to be this way from now on.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things so powerful about bringing ceremony into these types of practices, because while we can be very mindful and intentional about the experience that we're having or the practice that we're putting into place with our breath work or our yoga, when we add in those extra layers, it just makes it so much more special, and it makes the experience deeper, I feel like. And one thing that just in this past weekend, the experience that I had with the ceremony I attended, one thing I loved was that we would take turns going to the altar. And um, Robin talked about the sacred reciprocity that we have with spirit, and how before we say our prayer and what we want to get from the ceremony or from the medicine that we're consuming, if there is plant medicine involved, we first give gratitude. And so we first recognize all the things we're grateful for before we then pray in the things that we want help with. And I thought that was really beautiful and something that we can take into our everyday ceremony, our everyday sitting with our altar or our meditation practice or our breathwork practice of not just, okay, this is what I'm going to manifest or this is what I'm calling in. It's like, okay, first let's pause. Let's think about all the things we're grateful for. And I feel like gratitude is kind of tossed around a lot right now in good ways and in ways that almost just make it like diluting its meaning.
Mm.
And so when we really bring that intentionality back and really recognize all the abundance that we have and the things that we're grateful for, it puts us in a different frequency to then say our prayer to whatever we're praying for. And it just made the experience feel so special. And that's something that I'm like, okay, this is going to be my new little practice when I'm at my altar, is to really sink into gratitude first and then pray for what it is that I want to bring into my world.
Mm. Yeah, it feels less takey. Like,
Yeah.
give me all of these things I'm asking for. It's like you're feeling that gratitude for everything that you are currently experiencing or being blessed with before you ask for more. I love that.
Yeah. And it feels more like this co-creation of like, okay, I recognize all these things that you're bringing into my life. More, please.
Mm.
And how can I serve? And that's something that I haven't been the greatest steward of, that intention of really not just praying for the things I want, but praying for how I can serve in a way that maybe isn't of my own mind, like opening up that concept of being the hollow bone, being the conduit, being the channel. Like, okay, how am I here to serve? I'm listening, I'm open. Tell me, And I think
Mm.
before there might have been a little bit of fear. Like I was a little bit afraid of what that answer might be. Maybe I couldn't fulfill what it was that I was here to do, or whatever that answer might be. Like, okay, go do this. What if I didn't feel ready for that? And so going back to that surrender and that release of control and all those things that we're always practicing doing, and and opening that door of, okay, I'm here, I'm grateful. More, what can I do to co-create and be like a part of this dance?
Yeah.
It's such an interesting dance of surrender and action, because we can't just create everything we want without action, and we can't go and control and be the doer. So it's like this dance of surrender and action.
Mm. Yes. And I love how you said you're almost afraid of what the answer might be if you said, please use me in a way um that serves everybody because it can be really scary to live in your purpose and let go of those fears and follow that path. And you have to be ready once you say that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh
Ready.
my gosh.
I love what you said about how the process that you observed in your experience with facilitating, how beautiful it was to bring it full circle. And
Mm.
I think that's a really powerful point to make. The ceremony that we bring into our daily life, but also when we go to host retreats and incorporate those elements of the opening and the closing, because we get to kind of enter, especially with retreats, we get to enter this little portal of um like another dimension. We're leaving behind our regular life, and we're allowing ourselves to be held, we're allowing ourselves to be taken care of, or at least I know that's something that we want to incorporate into our retreats, where we really take care of all the little details so that everyone can let go and be held. And at the same time, as we titrate into the opening, we also have to titrate back into the closing so that people can leave feeling complete with the experience and ready to like re-enter the real world in a way that they can take what they gained with them and also not leave as an open box like you said.
Yeah. Yeah, we really intend to create such a sacred space in our retreat, and just going through the details has been so beautiful to be like imagining and co-creating this vision with each other.
Yeah,
Mm.
I love that. I know it's like we're co-creating with each other and we're co-creating with the universe. And it's neat because I know that like your spirit guides are working through you and my spirit guides are working through me. So it's like it's you and me and it's like our team that are in
Yeah.
cahoots.
Mm.
I love
And
that.
it's so fascinating to see how you seem to get a lot more of those synchronistic messages, and they just like come through and you're like, I don't know why this is here, but it's Mount Shasta, it's Yarrow. These are just things that we must follow. I love that communication that comes through for you.
Me too. That's one thing I'm like, more please, more
Yeah.
please.
Yeah. So beautiful.
Yeah. And it's neat because like we talk about our human design a lot too. And so I feel like we uniquely have different ways of how those come through where I get like these like little intuitive hits, but I don't necessarily hear words or it's often so like, well, this is here. I don't know. Like it's not super clear, but this is what I'm feeling. Whereas
Mm.
your intuitive hits come through a little bit different, but they're both there. And we're both like melding them together and create.
Yes. I wonder if that's your nose, like where you're like sniffing out these things and they just like randomly emerge for you, where mine is inner vision. So I can like imagine the retreat in my mind and like trying to create it into reality is kind of where that comes in. And because I have never been there, it's a little hard for me to be imagining, but just, each blip is where it's coming through. So I guess maybe I need to share more of those details if
Yeah,
that's where my intuition is.
it'll be so cool to hear what is popping up in your vision. And then when we actually get there, I'm sure there's going to be so many things where you're like, oh my gosh, I saw that in my vision, or I saw that, or I felt, yeah, that's going to be neat.
Mm, yeah.
You should
You,
probably document those, what you've been envisioning so that we can like pull out all those little similarities later.
mm, yeah. So fascinating.
Mm. What is something that you feel most excited about to incorporate into the retreat that we're going to offer in October?
That's a big question. Community, sacred communion. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one
Uh,
thing that is so beautiful about retreats is bringing people together and creating a space where we can shed the layers that sometimes block us from those deep connections with people and bring us below the surface of chit chat and common days conversation and actually get down into that more sacred connection. That's beautiful.
yeah.
I'm excited.
And plenty of time for community, but also like processing and diving in your own personal world. That's really important to me. And you mentioned that earlier in our private conversation. So, but What are you looking forward to creating or facilitating the most in our retreat?
Mm, I think the connection to the heart, the um, allowing the portal to the heart to open for each person and bringing, drawing people from the mind into the heart and allowing them to feel their own healing heart energy is something that's really coming through for me, because we so often live in the mind and don't realize that there's other places, there's other energy to reside in. And having the immersive experience of a retreat is a wonderful way to allow those layers, those protections to fall away so that you can feel that. And then once you feel it, kind of like the experience I had in my first retreat, it's like, okay, where has that been? And how do I get more? And it's the dipping of the toe into the water. It's the peeking behind the veil that then leads people into developing their own relationship with their own energy, which sounds maybe like woo and fluffy if you've never experienced that. But once you do get that taste, it's, I think it's something that people want to go back to again and again, and not necessarily, hopefully, in their own experience with retreats and other sacred spaces, but just in their own lives of taking that time to leave the mind and connect with the heart is just so healing and powerful and transformative. And I just want everyone to experience it.
I love that. I'm really excited to dive more into our retreat. So tune in next week when we talk a little bit more about the activities and some of our plans that we have in store, as well as dates and um, location. I think we've already shared, but we'll talk about all the details next week.
I'm so excited.
Yeah,
Y'all are
so
gonna love it.
we hope that you have a beautiful rest of your day, and we'll see you again next week.